What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC Vegas 72. We got Ricky Simone going against Song Yadong.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another DraftKings MMA picks video this week, breaking down a very interesting card in UFC Vegas 72, a card where it's kind of a lower level card, a card where we have a couple fights canceled, midweek even. It's a card where we have some guys stepping in on short notice. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting DraftKings slate for sure. So looking forward to it as always. Before we get started and talk about it all, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate that so much. Also be sure to check out DFSbythenumbers.com. Check out all the content that you do not see on YouTube. Optimizer, targets, projections, rankings, article, ownership projections, all the good stuff is on DFSbythenumbers.com. And then also be sure to check out Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code DFSBTN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. And I'll be talking about my favorite underdog play later in the video as well. All right. I say we get into it, and as always, we're going to start with our fight doesn't go to decision lines. We have up top Rodolfo Vieira going against Cody Brundage. We have the fight doesn't go to decision sitting at minus 400, and yeah, very good fight target here. Rodolfo Vieira is a guy that I definitely do like this week. He's a guy that I think has first round upside, but if this fight does reach the second round, I think it does heavily favor a guy like Cody Brundage. I think Brundage is going to push a pace early, and that could help him, but that could also lead to his detriment. I think if Vieira gets his fight down to the mat once, it's probably over shortly after. I like Vieira quite a bit. I think he has a ton of upside at 9,100, but we'll talk about Brundage as well. Brundage could be a very solid pump play if this fight does get extended. Moving on, we got Josh Quinlan going against Trey Waters. Trey Waters, one of the guys stepping in here on short notice, about a week's notice, and it's interesting with Waters. He's actually fought last week, so he did take some damage in that fight. He got like head kicked, rocked bad. He has to cut weight twice in the span of a couple weeks. I don't really like that. So I'm more on the Quinlan side, I suppose, but I think somebody's getting served in this matchup. I think somebody's probably getting knocked out here. I lean slightly to Quinlan, who's sitting at 8,500. But Trey Waters is a guy that's 6'5", which makes no sense. The guy is huge for the division, and that's why I kind of want to see him at weigh-ins, because I'm not even sure if he's going to make weight. Like cutting weight down to 170 pounds. This short note, I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, this fight's a borderline must target for me. I think this fight does end inside the distance more often than not. I'll be more high on Quinlan, but Trey Waters at 7,700 is definitely a live dog this week. Next, we got Marcos Rogério de Lima going against Cortez Acosta. And this has came down a little bit. Minus 275, fight doesn't go decision. It's came down a lot. I could actually see this fight going the distance. It's De Lima here or pass for me. Acosta, I don't think he has much finishing upside. De Lima's never been knocked out in the UFC. He's never even been knocked down. And if you're not knocking out Chase Sherman or Jared Van Dare, I'm not sure you're going to knock out De Lima here. Acosta's not going to go for takedowns. And like I said, I don't think an early finish at the very least is likely here. So if anything for me, it's the De Lima side for me, 8,600. This guy is going to be the more dangerous fighter. He's going to have all the grappling upside in this matchup. And if he does take this fight down to the mat, I think he can have a ton of success. So it's De Lima or pass for me in this one. And I think De Lima gets it done. So I'll be on the De Lima side in this fight. Not really touching Acosta this week. Next, we got Kyle Bahayo going against Mikhail Olazechuk. Yeah, good fight to target overall, I suppose, but I'm more so very high on Kyle Bahayo here. Very expensive, though, 9,500, but I think he has a ton of takedown upside here. I think he has submission upside as well, so I'm going to have a ton of Kyle Bahayo this week. In terms of Mikhail Olazechuk, for him to win this fight, he's going to have to stuff takedowns, and with a 43% takedown defense, I'm just not sure that happens. So I like Kyle quite a bit. Mikhail as a pump play, maybe. I don't know if I'm going to have much, but I'm really, really high on Kyle this week. Moving on to our core play. Speaking of Kyle Bahayo, 9,500. Yeah, black belt and BJJ. He has not been able to get a finish yet. I really think that finish comes here in this matchup against Mikhail Olazechuk. He's been subbed twice in the UFC. He seems to really struggle with the ground game, and Kyle's probably going to have no problem taking this fight down to the mat. Like I said, Olazechuk, very questionable takedown defense. I think he has questionable submission defense as well, and I think Kyle does get that first finish by submission here. So yeah, 9,500. It's definitely expensive, but I think he has the grappling upside. I think he has finish upside here. So I'm definitely willing to pay 9,500 for Kyle Bahayo this week. So now it gets interesting from a DraftKings perspective. So Journey Newson was supposed to fight Brian Kelleher. Brian Kelleher was 8,900. Journey Newson was 7,300. I really had no interest in the fight as a whole. Up until Brian Kelleher did pull out, in steps Marcus McGee. And right now we have Journey Newson around minus 200, minus 225. And so we have a minus 200 to minus 225 favorite sitting at 7,300. So this fight is going to be a must target. The winner in this fight is going to score very, very well. And I'm going to have a lot of Newson for sure. I mean, you have to. He's going to be very high owned. He's probably going to be one of the highest owned fighters on the slate because he's a favorite at 7,300, right? But also, I will be taking a look at Marcus McGee. We don't have a salary for McGee yet, but this guy's not bad. It would not shock me if McGee went out there and got an early finish. This guy, I believe, has a 100% finish rate, and we have seen Newson finish before. So it's a fight I'm going to be 100% owned on. I think I'll have more Journey Newson for sure, but I'm going to have quite a bit of this Marcus McGee guy, and I think he's going to be very low owned because he's an underdog, because nobody really knows much about him, but he's not terrible. I do lean for Journey Newson to get the win here, but I think McGee's going to be a live dog, so absolutely a fight you're going to want to target, and I'd be very surprised if this fight as a whole did not make its way onto the optimal lineup this week. Ricky Simone, 8,400. Yeah, I like the wrestling upside of Simone here, averaging over 6 takedowns per 15 minutes, completing takedowns at over a 50% accuracy. He has 25 minutes to work with here. Of course, you got to worry about the power of Song Yadong, but if Ricky Simone wins this fight, I think he has the highest ceiling on the slate, and I really don't think it's close. You know, the 25 minutes to work with of just a nonstop wrestling Ricky Simone brings to the table. So, yes, it's a main event where I'm going to be very heavy on it. Ricky Simone, 8,400, absolutely in play this week, and I'm going to have a ton of him. He's probably going to be my highest owned fighter this week. It's going to be pretty close between him and Journey Newson. We'll talk about Song Yadong as well. I think he's in play himself, but I'm more so on the Ricky Simone side just because he has so much wrestling upside here. And then Rodolfo Vieira, we talked about him a little bit. One takedown. I think one takedown and this fight's over. Cody Brundage, offensively, a really good wrestler, but I just have concerns about him when he's off his back. Every time we've seen Cody Brundage off his back, it's not been good, and that's a bad thing against Rodolfo Vieira, who's a legit black belt in BJJ. His credentials are just off the charts. I mean, Rodolfo Vieira, if he gets this fight down to the mat, I think he's going to sub Brundage pretty easily here. I do have my concerns if this fight does get extended. That's always the concern with Rodolfo Vieira, but I'm shooting for the upside here of that first round submission for Vieira in this one. Moving on to our GBP plays, we have Josh Quinlan here, 8,500. It took DraftKings a second to get these salaries out for Quinlan and Trey Waters. I think somebody's getting finished here in this matchup, simple as that. It's not a matchup where I have a strong lean one way or another. I do slightly lean to Josh Quinlan. This guy has a ton of power, and Trey Waters, he's, like I said, he has a lot of things coming against him. The short notice, the weight cut. He just took damage in his fight like a week ago, just fought. And Josh Quinlan hits like an absolute truck. So I think Quinlan can absolutely get a knockout here. If he chooses to grapple, even better. If he chooses to grapple, I think he has a huge path to victory here. It's not something he really does, though. Not something I'm really expecting. But, yeah, really like Josh Quinlan this week, 8,500, but really like this fight as a whole. Stephanie Egger, 9,400. Very, very expensive here for Stephanie Egger, but I think she has submission upside. I think she has takedown upside. I'm just not really sure why Irina Alekseeva's, in the UFC, to be honest. I just was not impressed at all with Irina Alekseeva. I think Egger does finish this fight. Expensive. She's probably going to be very low owned, so, kind of got that going for you. So I'll be playing some Egger. Hopefully she gets to finish. I think she does, and I think she will be pretty low owned as well. Kind of a weird one here. Martin Budai, 8,000. Yeah, another guy that I think is going to be very low owned. Martin Budai is a guy that has all the grappling upside in this matchup. He's going to have control time upside. I think he could push Jake Collier against the cage. And if he takes down Jake Collier, I think he could finish the fight. Martin Budai, really good ground and pound. Natural heavyweight, unlike Jay Collier, and very heavy on top, obviously. Good ground and pound, like I said, and he has a BJJ brown belt also. He's going to have probably the cardio advantage here, especially if he is able to use his size and wrestle and get this fight down to the mat. So give me Martin Budai, kind of a low-owned play here. I don't hate him at 8,000. And then Marcos Rogério de Lima, 8,600. We touched on him just a little bit. Takedown upside, finish upside. This guy's very dangerous, hits very hard, kicks very hard, which I think can come into play here. Don't mind me some Marcos Rogério de Lima at 8,600. Moving on to our underdog play. I've not missed one yet. My favorite play of the week, and hopefully I didn't just jinx myself there, but I'm going with the Kyle Bahio higher, 53.55 fantasy points. I think he gets it here. I think he wrestles. I think he hits those takedowns. I think he gets a submission here. I think he gets a finish. I think he pretty easily goes over this 53.55 fantasy score, and I'm taking the higher here. So give me the higher. That is my play of the week this week. Let's see if we can keep the hot streak going. If you guys have not signed up on Underdog Fantasy, use that promo code DFSBTN for a 100% deposit bonus. All right, live dogs, couple here. Song Yadong, 7,800, absolutely a live dog. This guy has a ton of power. Solid takedown defense, solid get-up game, but I still see him getting taken down. But yeah, he can pop back up, which is only going to lead to more Draftkings points for Ricky Simone. But yeah, Song Yadong, if he connects, it would not shock me in the slightest if he knocked out Simone. So I think Simone has the grappling upside, takedowns, control time, all that. But I think Song Yadong has the finish upside in this one. I think he has knockout upside in this one as well. It's a main event I'm going to be very, very heavily on. Probably close to 100% on it, with a lean to Simone, absolutely. But I will absolutely have some Song Yadong. I'm thinking maybe 60-40. I've not made my lineups yet because of the craziness this week, but thinking around 60-40 in favor of Ricky Simone. But Song Yadong is a guy that I'll absolutely have quite a bit of. Cody Durden, 7,500. Yeah, Durden's a guy I want to target this week. He's super cheap. This lines came down quite a bit. I think he's plus 115 last I saw. So money coming in on Cody Durden. And his path to victory here is to wrestle. Simple as that. If he wins this fight, takedowns, control time. Don't know if he finishes Charles Johnson, who's very tough to finish. But if he does win, I think it's a wrestling-based decision. And at 7,500, that's going to score very, very well. So yeah, I like Cody Durden this week as a live dog for that wrestling upside. Trey Waters, 7,700. 6'5", very long, very rangy, very powerful. Not completely sold on Josh Quinlan. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of circumstances going against Trey Waters here, but I think these guys are going to stand and bang, and one man's going to fall, and this is a fight that's going to have to be owned. So for that reason, I will have some Trey Waters at 7,700, hoping for a big finish here and a big score either way. Fernando Padilla, 7,400. Going against Julian Erosa. Yeah, Padilla, he's making his debut here. He's really big for the division, but and he's usually towering over his opponents, but Juicy J, Julian Erosa is going to be the same height there. Padilla's still going to have a reach advantage, and I think Padilla's live here in the sense that Julian Erosa blocks punches with his face, less than a 50% strike in defense. Julian Erosa's been finished by knockout. I think it's like 7 times. Like, it's very concerning. Getting knocked out by Alex Caceres is a big, giant red flag. And Padilla's not like some murderous power puncher, but he does have some power, and it would not shock me if Padilla went out there and knocked out Julian Erosa. We've seen Erosa get knocked out just so much, and with no striking defense, it's bound to happen quite a bit. So I don't mind some Padilla. I'm not really picking him to win the fight. I think his takedown defense is very bad, and Julian Erosa is going to exploit that, but Julian Erosa is just not a guy I can really trust at 8,800, with that striking defense, with those chin issues. So I don't mind some Padilla at this price tag. I think he's very much a live dog this week. Pump play. I'm gonna talk about 2. For one, we have Cody Brundage here, and then the other one, we don't have a salary yet. Marcus McGee is going to be a pump play for me. He's an underdog here, going against Journey Newson. Newson, like I said, is 7,300. I'm not sure what Marcus McGee's salary is going to be. Probably low 7,000s, right? Marcus McGee is absolutely going to be a pump play I'm looking at this week. In that fight, I'm going to be 100% on. Cody Brundage, getting to Brundage now. Brundage, 7,100. He needs to survive the first round. He needs to put it on Rodolfo Vieira early. He needs to set a pace that Vieira can't keep up. And if he does that, and if he can survive, Brundage is definitely in play here for a second or third round finish. I think it's a big if. I do think he gets finished early, but Rodolfo Vieira, we have seen him slow down in the past. We have seen him finish in the past. And Cody Brundage, if he can set that pace and can survive the first 5, he's going to be very live to win that second and third round. So I don't hate Cody Brundage as a pump play this week. And then fade is going to be Charles Johnson, 8,700. In my opinion, no takedown upside, very little finish upside. I think if he does get a finish, it's going to be like a late finish if Cody Durden completely gasses out. So yeah, I just don't really see much reason to get the Charles Johnson this week. A little bit too expensive for my liking, so I will be fading Charles Johnson. And I do like the Durden side as well, which is only another reason for me to go out there and fade Charles Johnson this week at 8,700. But yeah, guys, we did it. Like I said, very interesting slate. Some newcomers, some short notice replacements. some weird salary stuff going on. It should be fun. You know, I typically do very well on these like lower level slates. Like last week, I'd say was a lower level slate, was able to clean up there. So hopefully another good week here. It's going to be challenging, but it's a week that I feel like it could be solid. It could be a solid week. So looking forward to it. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys have not already. Do appreciate that. Going to go live Friday for the Final Thoughts live stream, and then also Saturday for the Best Bet live stream. Make sure you guys subscribe, turn on the post notification bell so you don't miss out on that. Best of luck for UFC Vegas 72, and we'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.